Welcome back to the first Takedown podcast. I'm Alex here alongside Hunter. Hunter, how's it going?
Good. Little hiatus. Dog days of summer, there's not a whole lot going on. We have plenty to talk about because wrestling, especially at a high level, seems to be more and more year round than it's ever been. But good. Took a golf trip last weekend. First golf trip I've done, with the boys. So that was really fun. And then got some, other personal stuff going on, kind of moving around, some switching up some things personally. So a lot of chaos. We were talking last week about hopping on, and then it ended up being just best to do it this week. So, and we get a little post RAF to talk about. So that was a good time.
Yeah.
Lined up.
Yeah, and I feel like we were living off such a good episode last time.
Yeah.
With Nick.
Yeah, we gotta find another. I was thinking just from that episode, people would start reaching out, and I was overwhelmed by how many people reached out. It was more than I could even handle, so I had to turn my DMs off. We had to turn. There's people coming out of the woodworks trying to be guests on the show, and I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah,
so
we gotta figure out the process now. It's like when you grow too fast.
It's not just first come, first serve. It's, we need to do a little vetting and figure out who's going to be good for the show, who actually has, some sort of video online that we could even, look at their first take. Have they ever gotten a first takedown in their life? Some people haven't, so I have to do a little research into some of these guys, but no, in all seriousness, just man, it's been a crazy summer. Wrestling wise, we had a great episode with Nick, and then we got a lot to touch on just in these last few weeks that have been going on, starting with just junior duels with Junior Worlds that the US ended up winning, performed amazingly, probably couldn't have done much better than what we did as a group. And you kind of go to those events, and some guys that maybe haven't had that experience end up kind of, taking an L here that maybe with a little bit more experience, they win that match. But you didn't really see that very much from Junior Worlds. The only guy that didn't end up coming out with a medal was Anthony Knox at 57 kilos. And I mean, I don't know. I think if you re-wrestle that tournament, he probably could. He's good enough to. We know how good Anthony Knox is. But, man, it was really, really encouraging for our young guys. I feel like as a fan of the United States, but a fan of wrestling, to watch those guys compete like that in 2025, leading up to the 2028 Olympics, it kind of makes everything pretty interesting as far as who makes that team, dwindling down, that team to 6 spots, which, ultimately is probably the greatest prize that you can have, is being, on the Olympic team or winning Olympic gold in the sport of wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, we've hit on this before. These young guys are stupid good, and it does make it just more exciting. It makes it a little upsetting when we're like, oh, there's going to be some guys that are not going to make the Olympic team, but it just has gotten so much competitive because of their exposure that they're getting now. So it's a fun one to watch. I didn't get to see all these, but I watched a lot of the clips online, but and then following some of the guys a lot of hardware for sure. So that's good.
Yeah. So I mean, I mentioned on Anthony Knox not coming away with a medal, but then right after him, you followed up with Marcus Blaze and Luke Stanich at 61 and 65 that both take gold. That kind of dwindles away that disappointment at 57 pretty quickly with those guys taking gold. And Blaze did it in dominating fashion. Stanich had to go win some matches that maybe he wasn't favored in. And, did a really good job. Comes out, wins gold, and then we get another gold as the next weight class with PJ Duke at 70 kilos. So those guys all looked really, really impressive. And then obviously PJ is going to wrestle in the senior worlds. Marcus, he was right there to make the team for, I think he might wrestle at U23s, or at least he's talked about wrestling U23 worlds. We'll see if he ends up doing that. Penn State has basically the entire team at U23s. It's insane. So we'll see if he ends up doing that. I don't remember. I think he did say he was gonna be the rep, but it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, are you really gonna do that? So we'll see what happens with Marcus Blaze. But he's kind of an interesting one because you got another high schooler, Jax Forrest, who is the world team rep at 61 kilos. So it kind of just feels like that's like the tier now. Like that's the cream of the crop at 61. Obviously Vito is in there too. Like I'm not discounting him. It's just that those guys, it's gonna feel like I think those guys are still gonna be on an upward trajectory, at least over the next few years leading up to 28. And we'll see what happens weight class wise. I mean, to make an Olympic team, they're gonna have to go up a weight. But Marcus Blaze already did that and had some success. He lost to Mendez, but beat Brock Hardy, beat some really good guys at 65 kilos. So yeah, I'm really encouraged by what I saw from these few guys, and they're kind of in a position to really maybe go up a weight and really be contenders for that Olympic team. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. I just think that we have that level of guys that we're watching right now, and that's pretty freaking cool.
Stanich he had the match right where he was down 8-0 and then came back and won.
Yeah, Guy absolutely broke. The guy broke. I think he cut it to make it 8-2, and you could just tell. You were like, boy. And yeah, he broke the guy. The guy was dead. You know how those guys are when they lose, they like act like they can't get up, they can't stand up, their body doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, they get a whole nother level of tired. Yeah. Well, so these guys all, this next year all going to be in college, like Anthony Knox at Cornell.
Yeah.
Right? Marcus
Yeah,
Blaze.
so I think he's going to gray shirt. So I think he's going to he's going to go to a community college in Ithaca, and I think all of their incoming guys are gray shirting.
Yeah. From Finger Lakes.
Finger Lakes, yeah. From what I think it's actually called something else.
Oh, really?
Like TC3, something county community college. It's like right there, but I don't know. I don't know the exact name of it.
Wait, I need to reach out to Scotty. Scotty would be our next.
He'd be a good guest.
Yeah.
He's going to go off the rails every now and again. You got to kind of keep him in line. Scotty. But
that's true.
Yeah, no, Scotty, awesome guy. We should definitely reach out to Scotty and get him on here. That'd be a good. That'd be sure.
Yeah. Get the clicks, as the kids say.
Yeah, gotta get the clicks. And then at 74, Ladarian Lockett takes bronze and, loses a match that, he kind of just I don't know. I feel like Lockett just knows how good he is and sometimes doesn't feel like he has to do as much. And sometimes it bites him a little bit. And then he came back the next day and took bronze and looked really good. And then Will Hankel at 79 kilos took silver. That dude's a beast. We say that all the time, but it almost gets overlooked a little bit because he almost has seemed like he's going to be the odd man out at Penn State, but I just don't see how that guy doesn't get in the lineup one way or another. I think he's just going to kind of be undeniable. He's really, really good. And then at 86, Max McAnally, man, dude. I knew we knew how good he was, but I was really, really impressed. Him winning and beating that Iranian, that dude is legit. That win against that Iranian, that's like a legit senior level win right there. And it makes you think, like, what's his ability to try to make a world team or try to make or a senior world team or try to make the Olympic team? In 2028, if he's at 86 kilos, that's a scary dude to wrestle. He's going to basically be finished with college in 2028, and he's going to be like, right there. He's so good on his feet, his head, hands, he almost does this like upright stance where he's like, he almost doesn't look like he's in, because he's a little shorter. He's not like a big guy.
Yeah.
His back is absolutely massive though, but he looks so dang athletic when he's out there, and he looked really, really good. I was really, really impressed him winning that junior world title.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't seem like he's slowing down from like the end of the season last year. And he also just seems, I think freestyle, another like good thing is he just seems so hard to score on and so hard to move.
And he's so good on his feet. The only way he lost really to Srirachi. I guess he got taken down by Srirachi, but and he got taken down by Keckeisen. But that match went into overtime. He's so darn good on his feet that he can stay in all those matches, and it's not like he's bad on the mat. It's just that he's really, really talented on his feet. And so, man, he's going to be an exciting guy to watch. I know we've talked about it before, but that 184 weight next year, that's probably my favorite weight going into the year. When you look at it, just all the unknowns from Max McAnally, Rocco Welsh, Angelo Ferrari, Jackson Smith, Zach Ryder. I mean, there's so many unknowns about those guys. You know, Max probably is the most known thing that we have right now, and we've only seen it for 1 year. Like, we've only really seen that, like, super high level for 1 year against that level of competition, you know, Starachi and Keckeisen. And then it's like, yeah, we know Rocco Welsh is really good, but he did it at 74, and we haven't seen him for a year. Ferrari, we know he's good, but he hasn't wrestled a full college year. You know, Jackson Smith comes out, takes 6th, but we know, like, the level he can wrestle at is really, really high. I mean, he wrestled McAnally really close in the Conti semis.
Yeah. And
then Zach Ryder is a pretty much an unknown, but Junior World Silver, you know, he was doing this before Max was doing it. It's just, man, it's going to be an exciting, it's going to be an exciting weight class to follow next year.
Well, the big boys.
Yeah, and then, you know, rounding it out, both Mirasolas take bronze. So 92, Connor takes bronze, and then Cole takes bronze as well. So really, really cool for those guys, especially Connor, I feel like, just because he's in that weird dynamic a little bit with kind of being a backup at Penn State, which is crazy to say you're junior bronze, but you're a backup at your college. But he is right now. And, you know, we'll see if that changes, but it seems like he's probably going to be on the outside looking in for a starting spot next year at Penn State. And then Cole, kind of, we don't really know. He probably is the starter, Cole is, but what level are we getting out of him? And I think him getting junior bronze kind of probably has to make the outlook for his folk style, you know, chops look a little bit better, I would think. And then the biggest, to me, maybe one of the bigger surprises, and I know he was good, but Justin Rodemaker taking gold at 97 kilos was that really wasn't the way I saw things starting out, and it did. And then you look at a guy like that who's wrestling at a program like Oregon State, and it's like, how high can he go?
Yeah.
Especially if he's at 197, and it seems like he will be. I mean, he wrestled 97 kilos, but, you know, he'll have to cut a little bit more weight for that, but it seems like he will be at 197.
Yeah, and he redshirted this past year?
Yeah, so Munoz went up to 197. He's done now. Munoz was a senior, so Rodemaker will fill in that spot and may do even better just by the nature of his ability. And the weight class clears out a couple of guys, you know. You clear out a few. A guy like Cardenas is gone. Stephen Buchanan's gone. So you clear out a few of those top level guys. AJ Ferrari is, you know, going up to heavyweight, so you clear out a little bit. That guy's a psycho, by the way. I mean, I just saw a video of him bench pressing like 1,000,000 pounds earlier, and I'm not saying it's bad. I don't know bench press technique. You know, he's got his back completely like arched, like all the way, you know, and I know like really good people that bench press, you know, if you're doing like powerlifting bench press, like that's the way they do it. So I'm not saying that. I just don't know if that's the way you should be lifting for like wrestling. I have no idea. I don't really know. It's not my, but then they had a block on top of him too. So I'm like, dude, the bars, I mean, he was all the way arched, and then he had 3 blocks here. I'm like, are you even I feel like you're just here, pop, which I'm not saying that that's easy, but it's certainly easier than going like arms extended all the way down and then, you know, exploding through here. It's like, no, I'm right here. Yeah.
Well, that's like the little kid doing the push-ups, you know. It's like
you just do the little right here.
Yeah.
So, anyways, enough of the bench press talk. Not that either one of us knows what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But,
well, actually, what he should be doing.
Yeah, you know, he should be doing this. No. But anyways, man, like I said, just really impressive performance for Junior Worlds for this team, and we'll see what these guys kind of bring into the college season. I don't expect much fall off or change from the results we saw. Obviously, a little bit of change just because it's freestyle to folk style. I mean, some guys just transition a little bit better, and the college season's a grind, and, you know, those things are all true. But we'll see how they kind of manage that transition, especially for the young guys that are kind of, you know, Anthony Knox is coming into college. Marcus Blaze is coming into college. Luke Stanich is going up a couple weight classes. PJ Duke's coming into college. Is he going to redshirt or wrestle? What's he going to look like? So some really important questions that we're going to see answered. D. Lockett, what's he going to, is he going to wrestle or is he going to redshirt? Oklahoma State could probably use him, but they've got some other guys, kind of older guys that have transferred. So what's he going to do? I mean, I don't think that, oh my God, now I can't think of it. I don't think that Henkel will start. They've got Haynes, they've got Rocco Welsh, but like that dude, could slide right in when Haynes is done.
Mm-hmm.
Matt McAnally after, a really, really successful summer. And then both the Mirasolas and then Rodemaker. I mean, it's some cool storylines to follow, I feel like.
Yeah, it's exciting, and it seems like these young kids, like we say, just get better and better. And you mentioned at the beginning of the podcast that that it is really like become even more so when we were in end of like a year-round sport. And it made me think about, even though there's less competition, obviously, like in the summer than compared to when you get to your season. It reminds me of, did I freeze up on you? You good?
No, you froze up.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Just got like 3 emails. There we go.
Just jammed your system a little bit, but we're
system.
good.
Like, blah, blah, blah. Leave me alone. So, but I was going to say, it reminds me of I remember being at a summer camp when I was little, and there you get like the shirt and it said like, summer wrestlers breeds winter champions. And I remember there's one guy, I think he wrestled in college, who was from where I was from too. And he was like, everyone look at this shirt. And I remember having it on. He was like, I don't like this shirt. I don't like this. It's a year-round thing. It's a year-round sport. And I was like, dang it. I need to get rid of this shirt. All the little sayings that from like tournaments. We used to get them all the time. I don't know about you.
No, I got those shirts too. I mean, I think that was a part of growing up, was getting the the screen printed shirts on that at a tournament. All right, let's go back to youth tournaments. It's crazy that machine was at tournaments. That press machine, do you remember? I mean, it's crazy that existed. That's an insane thing to have existed. I mean, they probably sold so much gear with those things, because you could do like the customizable shirt. You get all the pins on the side, your weight class, your pins, your place. You could get all those things on the side. Especially, it was a huge flex if you did it like for the state tournament shirt. So you'd have your state tournament, weight class, pin, how many pins you had, what place you took, yada, yada, yada. Or like Dixie Nationals. That was a huge flex, or like Liberty Nationals, all those nationals tournaments that kids would do, man. That was, they should think about bringing that back. It was a huge flex for those kids and for us.
I don't even know. I feel like they might do some sort of thing for it, but I don't feel like it's the same level as what it once was, where they would just sit there, and tape all the prints on the wall and be like, here's all your options.
Yeah, I don't think it can be at the same. I mean, you also got to think like a lot of that gear has kind of leveled up to where people probably aren't buying that level of like gear. Like they have really, really good gear now, and like they don't need the shirt from so and so. I think Super 32 still does a really good job, but it's not the customizable things. It's just like you get a Super 32 shirt.
Yeah,
and so
we got it all the time, and I remember when I started even getting into high school, like they had them, but I was like, well, I'm not gonna get these. But then, like, if I'd win a tournament, and my mom would be like, hey, I got you one of these shirts, by the way.
Your shirt.
Like,
yeah.
All right. Well, so one day she said that she's gonna make them into a quilt, but I feel like I don't think that's gonna happen.
I feel like you're 30 now. Maybe that's a little too old for that, But
yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't use it. So, I don't know.
Yeah,
but
I mean, it's tough to. It's tough to ask your wife, hey, honey, can you grab me that wrestling quilt that my mom made over there?
That I probably wore like a decent bit of them. That
probably doesn't smell great. Like
that, where it says 4th place right there. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's okay.
Funny.
It's okay to stay in a trash bag in the attic somewhere.
Yeah.
But, well, speaking of old wrestling.
Yeah.
And some old wrestlers. We had the Real American. Not that old. None as old. No, there's a couple.
No, there was a couple of them. There was a couple of them. Your Lance Palmers and your Darren Caldwells.
But we had it was the first, right? The first Real American Freestyle event.
First one.
that happened, and I just want to hear your thoughts first overall about the event.
Yeah, so Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff teamed with, just for people that don't know much about RAF or Real American Freestyle, Hulk Hogan, before he passed, him and Eric Bischoff and Izzy Martinez teamed up and came up with Real American Freestyle, put some real money behind it, trying to make a wrestling league, trying to build something that is UFC model type of thing, but maybe with a little bit of like WWE flair to it, but then also keeping it pure and amateur wrestling and not professional wrestling. So came up with Real American Freestyle. Basically, the rules are the same as freestyle wrestling, right? It's legitimate freestyle wrestling. We've done a lot of these cards before, like Flo put on a card years ago, back during COVID. There's all these things that have tried to do a professional wrestling type of thing with freestyle wrestling or folk style wrestling. The issue is we've never had any like legitimate money behind it and then be able to generate revenue at a clip to where you can start paying athletes and then you can keep that beast flowing, right? So we've just never been able to profit from it. So anything that's ever gotten off the ground, it kind of folded very quickly. This was their first one. It was pretty cool. I mean, it looked great. There was a lot of high-level athletes on the card. And the cool thing is that they gave out belts, which I think was pretty cool. They ended up giving out some, hardware for the champs. And it looks like, that's going to be their champions. That's going to be the guys that kind of they start building up. And if someone can come take it, then great. And if not, then they'll just keep building those champs up. Right. So it kind of seems like that's what the business model is. It's a UFC, WWE type of model. The only thing that I'm a little like, I want to know, like, it was hard for me to find it. Like, it was on Fox Nation. I didn't really even know where to find it. I mean, I'm trying to like look it up. I'm trying to figure out where to find it. I want this stuff kind of easily accessible for wrestling fans. Now, I think free and on television is probably the way to go. You start putting it behind a paywall, you're not going to get any viewers. You're going to get some diehard viewers. Like, I'll watch it, or if you put it behind Flow, I'll watch it. But you're probably not going to get a ton of viewers if you put it behind a paywall and people aren't used to paying that paywall.
Yeah.
So I think they could make it a little bit more easy for people to access it. I'm like, I don't even know, is Fox Nation like a streaming platform? Is it a channel that I go and find it on YouTube TV? I'm trying to parse these things out while it's starting and while it's coming on. So I think that's a little bit, that's one thing we could figure out, like, where do I do this? Where do we do this? The other thing is, putting belts on someone right off the rip, is that a good idea or a bad idea? Right? I don't really know. That basically means like you expect that person to come back and compete again. Yeah. And to defend that belt. If not, then what's the point of them holding the belt? And, they put a belt on Bo Nickel. The guy's fighting. Is he going to come back and keep wrestling and trying to defend that belt? I don't know. They're putting these belts on people and it's like, okay, well, it looks like obviously like a Wyatt. Wyatt's going to keep competing. He faced off with Mason Paris. That was really cool. That kind of got me excited. They're also doing these like face-offs that are a little bit like, they're all giggling like while they're doing a face-off. I'm like, guys, like you either got to have real heat or like you have to have, if you're going to have fake heat, you can't let the people know that it's fake heat. Mm-hmm. Like that's... Yeah. You need to blur the lines a little bit between what's real and what's fake. And if you're like doing this like, oh, we're going to sit here and push each other, but we actually really like each other. No, everyone's going to see through that. So that's part of the WWE model where if they're going to continue following that, they've got to get a little bit better actors and let these guys know, hey, there's some of this to what we're doing. That doesn't mean the wrestling isn't pure. The wrestling's pure, but we maybe need to look at how we're interacting with our opponents.
Yeah, but you're right, because if that interaction doesn't seem as pure and like real, even if they are like faking it, then it makes you see the match. I'm like, I don't know if he was actually kind of really fully wrestling there.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. I mean, if you're gonna follow one of those models, Like, or if, Alex, if me and you are wrestling and me and you are buddies, we're friends, but like we want people to watch this. We want to like build a story up. We've got to do something fake to get them to get people to watch, right? Like we've got to have some animosity towards each other for people to watch, or we've got to have some storyline to build for people to watch. If not, and we just go and we say, oh, he's a really good opponent. Oh, he's a friend of mine. I'm excited to toe the line with him. And I mean, I just don't see how you're going to start getting a bunch of people to watch in that scenario. Now, if you build big enough stars, they'll watch anybody, right? But I feel like part of that building of those big stars comes with the storylines. Obviously, the biggest star on the card, was outside of, well, Holly Holm competed on it. That's kind of hard to say that she's not the biggest star. She's probably the biggest star. But Bo Nickel in the wrestling world is the biggest star because he's a big star in the MMA world and the wrestling world. And so I think he's trying to figure that out a little bit. Figure out, his, and I've been critical of him before. I think he is such a phenomenal athlete, but I think he's missed the mark a couple of times, and he actually just had a fight announcement today or this morning or last night or something like that. So he's got another fight coming up, and then RAF just announced their second. They're doing RAF 2 in
November.
Penn State. Yeah, and in Penn State. So I'm like, okay, so Bo Nickel's got let me get this straight. Bo Nickel is the champ, okay? He's the champ at 205. They're going to do RAF2 in Penn State, where he went to Penn State, Hodge Trophy winner at Penn State, 3-time NCAA champion. He's got a fight like 2 weeks after that.
Yeah.
So are you not going to have your 205-pound champ on the card that went to Penn State? Are you not going to have that guy on the card, or is he not going to come on the card? And then he's going to go fight 2 weeks later, or is he going to do the card and then fight 2 weeks later? Which to me is like, holy crap, like you're training to be one of the best in the world, but like you're going to go do this side quest and try to be, this as well. And the guy's really talented. I'm not saying he can't do it. It just sounds like, I don't know. It sounds like a lot, and it just, I don't know. It's questionable on some of the things, and I'm not trying to get on like a beating them up type of thing, I think what this could be awesome. It could be phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean that Jason Nolf Evan Wick match from a wrestling standpoint was incredible. Those guys went all out. Kyle Dake, destroyed Dean Hamady. Some of the wrestling was great, but I like wrestling. I'm gonna like wrestling regardless. I don't think everybody likes freestyle wrestling. You're going to have to make them watch it because of some storylines that you're building up. So, I don't know. That was my biggest takeaway.
Yeah, and that's my question too. I mean, are they defending, their belt every time, or is it going to kind of be like a little bit like Bellator? I guess UFC too, like there's people and then you have like rankings. Is that going to happen? Are you going to have enough people do that? But the biggest thing still, I think every time that we've seen something like this, it was cool. It was cool, but is there a market for it to make it, sustainable? I don't know. I like it. But is there a world where this could, pick up a big enough following and actually be ongoing more and more, where there's champs and people tuning in to watch this kind of thing?
Yeah, and I guess we're gonna have to see a few to even know. I don't want to make a declaration based on one event. I think it's really freaking cool. I think it could be really, really cool, like awesome. I don't know the sustainability. It just goes back to what you exactly said. I'm not looking at the financials. I don't know how big their checkbook is and how big their pocketbooks are, for bringing in talent and then being able to pay that talent and then being able to have a venue and being able to sell tickets and being able to have views, and then those views leading to advertisements and sponsorships for your event. Obviously it can be done there. the UFC has been built into this massive, massive thing. It's a little bit different of a sport. So it's kind of hard to just say like, yeah, it can be done because the UFC did it. I think normal human beings understand hitting someone in the face, and that's a little bit easier to understand.
People get knocked out. Yeah.
Yeah, but then there's a whole other section of fans that is a big, large section of MMA fans that they watch MMA not just to see a guy box another guy, but to see all aspects of MMA. So like, I think there's, this past weekend was also CJI. And for people that don't know what CJI is, it's the Craig Jones Invitational. It's one of the biggest grappling events in the world. And this was the second one that they had ever done. They did the first one last year. Was probably the biggest grappling event of all time. They handed out $1 million to each winner. It was insane. They handed out $1 million this year, but it was to a team. It was a team of 5 going against other teams of 5. Huge event, extremely successful. It was on YouTube. They sold the rights to Flow Grappling and put it on YouTube. It was it's a huge success. Grappling is one of those things, they struggle just like wrestling does with trying to figure things out and trying to get these huge events going. The difference that they have is that they have adults doing this sport currently. And so that generates fandom because they're participating in the sport.
Yeah.
Wrestling doesn't, we miss the mark on that. Like, we missed the mark on like doing a belt system. We should have done that a long time ago, where you get your white belt, you get your blue belt because you can do a single leg takedown, or you get your blue belt because you can do an arm drag, or you get your blue belt because you can do a high crotch. You get your purple belt because you can finish high crotches in like multiple different ways. You get your brown belt because like you can transition from finishing a single to a high crotch to lifting to crackdown to, it's like you can go on and on with, you see what I'm saying? You can go on and on with all this. You get your black belt because legitimately every situation in wrestling, you have something that you could show or you could do, or you could counter and you could transition from there. And we could be in a scenario where that would be the way, we get adults into the sport, and then they generate their fandom on their own because they're doing it and participating in it. Like I said, we've missed the mark on that. We can't go back and change that unless it's a grassroots movement. And I see that grappling has a lot of fandom because it's a grassroots movement. And it's one of those things that people can easily get into because maybe they're a UFC fan or they're an MMA fan, and they just are like, well, I can go to my local jiu-jitsu gym and I can learn to do some cool stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get off on a tangent. I just think that unless it's obviously can't go back and be a grassroots movement. So how does it build? If it's not going to be grassroots, how do we build this? And I have some questions on that, and I have some concerns on, how much are we going to have to spend to even make it something manageable that fans are going to watch?
Yeah. I mean, that's a really good point. I think you kind of nailed it on the head. I'm interested because I've thought, like, since we talked about, going over this, and because it's just, we've seen it and in the past, is there a format that does make sense? Like, is it this, like, belt, like, kind of same, taking this UFC tactic of wrestling? Is that the format that would work the most? I mean, in my head, like, I would love to see like some of the background, like if this was the UFC now I just blanked what it's called, the like when they try to get the team,
the Ultimate Fighter,
yeah, like whatever it's called, UFC Ultimate Fighter. Like if it was Ultimate Fighter and they had teams like that and they had like a coach and you got a little bit more of like the background story of like, hey, they wrestled in college, actually they wrestled this guy or this guy's teammate, and we saw some background of that. Now that still does take a little bit more love for the sport, but you get a little bit more of the like personal stuff in there and a little bit more of the background of it, which I think could potentially get some more viewers. But again, it's just a hard market, So what would you, if you had to create the show and the format, what would you do differently?
So it's hard to score, right? Wrestling is hard to score. I think that fighting is hard to score sometimes, right? Like, you pretty much know who's winning. And in wrestling, it's similar, right? You kind of know who's winning. I don't want to say this is like the end all be all and this is just what should happen, but I think that in a scenario like this, some subjectivity is actually kind of good, because I think you could create a scenario where you do like a 10-9 must system, which is like what the UFC does with their scoring, and which is what CJI just did with their scoring, where you know what you're watching and you know who's winning, but like you don't have to have these like, it's you know, I'm up 2-1 and then guy hangs on and he just kind of knows the score and like that's it. It's almost more like, okay, well, this guy got a takedown, but this other guy's kind of running away now. And like if he runs away long enough, judges might score it in the other guy's favor. But you don't really know. So it throws some subjectivity in there. And then you kind of announce what the score is after every period. And maybe you do 3 periods and you announce what the score is after every 3 periods. And then if you that guy can't run away, or if you bomb him and you beat him 10-8 and it's a draw, you know, which nobody likes draws, I get that. But like there's a way to parse through that a little bit. And I'm not saying it has to be exactly like a 10-9.
Yeah.
Or something like that. But I think there's better scoring ways to where the average fan can just go, I'm just going to watch this round, what I'm watching in totality, and then they're going to tell me what the score is.
Yeah.
Instead of, I don't know shit about wrestling. They just scored this guy going out of bounds. They gave him 1 point, but actually he went down before he went out of bounds, so they gave him 2 points, and they gave it to him like this. Why are they doing this? No, actually, his back went to the mat, so he's got 4 points. And but that happened in the middle, and then he kept rolling him, and then the match ended. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. I do think there has to be a match ender, right? There's got to be a knockout. You know, there's a way to end matches, and maybe haven't thought through all of that portion with like a 10-9 must. You know, in a jiu-jitsu competition, you can just submit a guy and the match is over. And in MMA, you can knock a guy out. You know, the fight's over. For us, it's like there's no way to. The way to take somebody out is to pin them, right? That's it, or a tech fall. But I think if you slap on a lace, you roll a guy out a bunch of times. I mean, you pretty much guaranteed you're going to win the round like 10-7 or 10-8.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you get to that, right? That's a little bit more than what I'm saying. And maybe subjectivity is bad. I think when a world championship is on the line, it's bad. You know, when we were doing the old school 3, ball draw, 3 periods, you had to win best 2 out of 3. I think it was a little bad then. Because it's just like you're saying, all right, whoever wins the ball draw kind of wins the match a lot of times. And I think that's bad, right? But I do think in a scenario like this where I think wrestling is a little more like, not that there's not parity, there is, right? We watched Hendrickson beat Gable, like there is parity. There's tons of parity, but I think in like fighting, you've got like this puncher's chance, or you've got this chance for the guy to go out and like win in a way where he could submit the guy, or he could punch him. And we just kind of lack that. And I'm not saying that, I mean, obviously you can pin guys, you can go take them to their back, but it's really, really hard to pin guys. That's not an easy thing to do. And we just kind of lack that. To win matches, obviously scoring sequences is what the fans have to follow to be able to understand what's going on. It's just so much easier for me to watch like a fight and be like, oh, that guy punched that guy and then he stiffed. Like that other guy won, right? Like that's easy to understand. Some of the nuances of wrestling, it's kind of hard to understand. And in jiu-jitsu, same thing. You're like, oh, well, like this happened, but I don't really know what I'm watching. But oh, the guy tapped. It's over. This guy won. Or, oh, okay, I don't really know. Like, I'll let the judges decide. Oh, they said 10-9 this guy? Okay, that makes sense. Go to the next round. Cool. So, I don't know. Maybe that's not the best idea. I just think you've got to get fans off of the whole, like, if you're going to get new fans, you've got to get them in a way that they can intake the product. They can understand the product. And currently right now, I just don't think we do a good job of that. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the accessibility, like the watchability of it, and understanding immediately, like, oh shoot, wait, that guy just got taken. I think he's ahead in points, you know. So, yeah, and you know, this to say, I know both you and I both want, you know, RAF to do well, and I love if it got started a big following, and that we do have this kind of like rank system, and we see some guys like that we've watched in college that maybe are out now that are really good, and like, oh shoot, I hope they can go get a belt in there because like we know their past a little bit. And
no, I think we're critical, right? We're critical because we want it to be successful. Like I wouldn't be critical if I didn't. If I didn't care about it, I just probably wouldn't talk very much about it.
Well, and this is, I mean, it's a topic like you hear all, like you tell people you wrestle, and like, oh, what, is there like you know, like, I know WWE, but is there like a wrestling after? You're like, well, I mean, if you're going to the Olympics, you know, that's like the answer. Like, well, if you can wrestle, if you're really, really good, you know, you can keep going. So
yeah, I would love to just be like, if somebody, you know, they ask, and I just say, yeah, RAF.
Yeah,
it's on, you know, it's on every other, you know, they have a card every other month or so, and it's best wrestlers in the U.S., some of the best wrestlers in the world.
Yeah,
and I think RAF has a chance to bring on some really good world level guys. You know, some Dagestanis who, you know, have a lot of popularity right now in combat sports.
Well, that's another interesting aspect of it. Like, I think about like lacrosse has these like leagues, like basketball has these like international leagues. Like, is that something that would maybe help expand it a little bit more, of like bringing it internationally, having some of these guys that are just like, you know, stars in their country, and then coming in wrestling in this? I don't know. It'd be interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I think it's got to transcend what it is now. It's the same way that the UFC did. The UFC was predominantly Brazilians and Americans starting out. Boxers, kickboxers, jiu-jitsu specialists, all just kind of seeing who had the best craft and who was the best at their one thing. And then it evolved and it got more popular to where people from all over the country and from other countries were starting to participate and become really successful in it. And then now we're in the day and age where some of the best grappling or mixed martial arts in the world is done in a little small Caucasus region in Russia, and those guys are dominating. But we've known that. Mm-hmm. Like, we've known those guys were really, really talented grapplers because they dominate the wrestling world, right? We've known those guys were awesome and really successful. And now the world is kind of learning these guys, you know, the Khabibs, the Islams, Chimaev's Chechen. I mean, he's not Dagestani, but he's still from that region, right? And then the Dvalishvilis, Toporia's from Georgia. He's just now a Spaniard. But all those guys are phenomenal grapplers, and we've known that region of the world offers up really good grapplers. And then it's finally like, oh, they finally have a platform to show that they have that. And so there's other guys in that region that are just as good of grapplers, if not better than those guys. It's just that those guys are on a bigger platform. Can we get a Sadulayev on the biggest platform, whatever that platform may be? Right now, it's just like the World Championships and the Olympics. You know, that's the biggest platform. But if the biggest platform was RAF, then we'd have all the best wrestlers. If that was the biggest platform, all the best wrestlers would come there because they want the biggest platform.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's interesting, and you know, like we said, we hope that it does do well. They got the number 2, November 8th, is at Penn State, so I don't think they've released any like information of wrestlers yet, right?
No, and you gotta think. I mean, you gotta think that the main event is probably Wyatt Hendrickson and Mason Paris. I would think at least Wyatt. You know, the World Championships are coming up in like a week and a half, and then Wyatt will kind of be done competing as far as things that he has right away. I would think, you know, maybe he does like a Bill Farrell or you know, something like that I think is like that same weekend or the weekend after or something like that. So, but anyways, you got those guys squared off. You got to think that's probably like the main event for the heavyweight championship. You know, Gable is about to do his first LFA fight. It seems like he's kind of going in that direction, but does he say, I'm still the best wrestler in the world. Like, I'm going to put my name in the hat and come back and take it, or try to, right? So, I don't know. it's gonna be a great event because they're putting on these great cards with these absolutely phenomenal wrestlers. I just want to see it continue, and I want to parse through, I think, some of the things that I think could be fixed.
Yeah.
To make it a better event and to make it something for the fans to watch.
Yeah, and the good thing is, like you said, like they're getting started and they're doing something which is exciting to say the least. Got that coming up, man. Then only thing else coming up, you said World Championships.
Yeah, we got Worlds coming up, and we got Worlds. I don't know the exact dates of the tournament. It's like a week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that. And obviously, so our team will have Spencer Lee, we'll have Jax Forrest, we will have at 65 kilos. Why am I blanking on who the rep is at 65 kilos? Alex, why am I blanking?
Duke?
No, he's at 70 kilos.
Oh, 65?
70 kilos.
Real?
Yeah.
Real Woods?
That's right. And he looked really good. He was wrestling Caldwell, but he looked good. We'll see what he brings. Yeah, that's why I no disrespect. I just that was kind of a wild one. That's why I don't remember that. 70 kilos, PJ. 74 kilos is David Carr. 79, Levi. 86, Zahid. 92, we've got what am I doing right now? Should have all this memorized, right?
Maybe.
No, Hidley. Gosh.
Yeah, Hidley. Yeah.
Hidley, because he beat Barr. That's right.
Yeah.
Barr, because poor Barr has taken second at the poor Barr. I mean, whatever. He took second at the Nationals and then took second at the World Team Trials, or Final X. So, and then we'll have Snyder, and then at heavyweight we'll have Hendrickson. And man, what a star that guy has turned into! I'm really excited to watch him at the Worlds and see what he can do. It seems like he's got a legitimate chance to at least compete for a medal. I don't, can he beat Zare? We'll see. But, man, that guy's really, really fun to watch and keeps growing his star power every single time he competes.
Yep. I like it. Well, yeah, it says September 13th to 21st. I mean, how, that's all the dates. So we'll see and try to figure out when to, have the brackets and everything. Because they usually don't do brackets till, the day before, right? Am I making that up?
Yeah, they're stuck in these old school ways, man,
Yeah.
They have seeds, but then it's a blind draw, and how they do the seeds is a ranking series events, and we still we've come a long way in the sport of wrestling, but I still feel like we're kind of stuck in some old age type of stuff where I get it. What they want is they want to promote activity amongst guys. Oh, and I was listening to Flo earlier. It sounds like Sadulayev may or may not be competing now. Well, yeah, he has some visa issues maybe getting into the Worlds, so we'll see about that. I mean, I hope he does just because he's so fun to watch. But then we got Sidakov back. That's awesome. We'll get to watch him. He's historically dominated Americans, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But we'll see him. We'll see a bunch of guys, at the World Championships. That'll be a fun one. We'll do a recap show. And then obviously, kids are getting back to classes now. It's September. College rooms are starting to, do their preseason training. And then before too long, it'll be October 10th, first day of the season. And then it'll be November before you know it. And then we'll have some college wrestling. So I know we're both
both
looking forward to that.
Basis.
Well, yeah, we're going to have to, do a recap shows on. I'm excited though, man. I mean, this is such a fun time of the year. I love summer, but the fall time when the weather's starting to change a little bit and you got some football coming and then you got some wrestling coming, it adds a whole layer of excitement. So.
It does. Well, cool, man. Well, I appreciate it. I mean, that's some exciting stuff for these young guys that we hit on, and then, potentially just some cool things for wrestling, in every avenue, and I'm excited for these Worlds coming up. Going to be some good matches.
Absolutely. We'll try to work on. I mean, we mentioned Scotty. We'll try to work on one other guy. Try to get somebody else on here.
Maybe during the season it might be a little bit easier too with schedules and stuff. Yeah. So
for sure.
But anyways, well, thank you guys for listening. Make sure you subscribe, follow YouTube, Spotify. Instagram. We'll post a whole bunch of clips, share it up, and then we'll see you next time.
Peace. Sweet. Peace.